and good afternoon. Welcome everybody to another edition of Canada Business Talks, brought to you by Canadian SME Business Magazine. I can't believe that this is actually our 11th episode already. We've had fantastic conversations with many leaders across the country. And of course, we wouldn't be able to do this and present it to you without the help of our exclusive partners. RBC, our exclusive banking partner. UPS, our exclusive shipping partner, and our exclusive accounting software partner, Xero. So thank you to all of our partners who make events like this possible so we can bring the type of knowledge necessary to bring you to the other side of your dreams and desires for your business. Everyone, my name is Shiraz Sadiq, media host and consulting editor for Canadian SME Business Magazine. As I mentioned, today is the 11th episode, and we focus on so many different areas from accounting to business processing. Today is interesting. We're going to get into an entrepreneur's journey and story. Now, Shawn has an unforgettable experience that he's going to talk about, and as we celebrate his hard work and commitment to seeing projects come completed in, now this is important, completed, watch this, on time, perhaps even on budget, and how that has helped his business translate his customer relationships from short-term to long-term partnerships. And because they're always fulfilling the needs as their organization and the organization of their clients change and grow. So thank you for joining us today. And of course, CBT, Canada Business Talks, is for those who want to infuse more purpose and passion into your business process as we progress towards growth and impact for what you mean and represent to the marketplace. It's about developing that entrepreneurial resilience in every circumstance and provide practical strategies so you can manage and grow your business. As we mentioned off the top, of course, we are here with Shawn and myself. Oh, look at that fancy. That's when I had hair, ladies and gentlemen. I cut it. We'll talk about another day as far as why I cut my hair, because I've been getting that comment a lot. But you know what? New seasons bring a fresh perspective and a fresh resolve, a fresh new season for me. And that's also a part of what we're going to hear in Shawn's story as well. Now, at this time, I want to show you a quick video of what some of the work that UPS has partnered with Canadian SME Business Magazine to produce. Ladies and gentlemen, here's a short clip of UPS Small Business of the Day.
You dreamt big. You made the leap. You and your "we're not stopping at small" business. Doesn't matter you've never done it before. You unlock those problems. You adapt to change. You learn to evolve. You're pioneers in challenging times, finding your own frontiers. Wherever you e-commerce, UPS is with you. So nothing is going to hold you back.
Fantastic. Thank you, UPS. Look, folks, they focus a different small business every single day almost. And if you want to be highlighted and have your hard work recognized as well, please visit CanadianSME.ca. Again, that's CanadianSME.ca to find out how you can be featured in an upcoming episode of UPS Small Business of the Day. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the reason why you're really here is Shawn Ostheimer. And he's going to correct me as far as how to properly pronounce his name. He's the founder and president of the Answer Company. Now, he began in 1994, spearheading the company's growth to become the largest Sage provider in Western Canada. With his master's in business in administration, his educational background, always important, and over 30 years experience of implementing financial and management software systems, he's contributed to clients' success in their business and personal lives, but his experience includes business analysis, system design analysis, training, implementation, data conversion, software installation, customer support, and you know what? He can probably do your plumbing at home as well. He is that versatile. Now, he takes an active role in his company's operations. Look, there's some owners that like, hey, we built the business, I'm just going to seep into the background. Here's a man whose persona is in the background, but the culture experiences him on the front line. That's the impression that he's made upon his organization. And we're going to hear a lot about their purpose statement and how it resonates throughout their entire organization. Yes, he works hard. Yes, he's committed to seeing his projects be, again, completed on time. He's a leader, a guest speaker for the enterprise software industry. His lectures focus on processes, accounting, the role software plays as well. You know what, ladies and gentlemen, I can go on and on, but without further ado, please welcome our guest today, Shawn Ostheimer, founder and president of The Answer Company.
Well, thank you, Shiraz, and it's a pleasure to be here. And wow, that was quite an introduction. made me sound pretty good.
Okay, good. That was the attempt. Checks in the mail. You know how it works. You know how it works. Checks in the mail. So right off the bat, I have a sense I'm butchering it.
Ostheimer. You were close.
I wasn't close, but thank you for being kind and generous and gracious as you always are. You know what? Let's jump in. Let's start off with something that's hanging in your background. What are you doing, man? Shouldn't you have a digital board back there, like some fancy, LED screen that says the Answer Company? You got a flag hanging around in your background. There has to be a story. Well, there is a story. Can you share with us what that flag represents to you?
Absolutely. I could have gone with the digital background, but I love this flag. So back in the 2000s, I had a gentleman who worked for me. He was blind. His name was Bill Durr. And upon his retirement, he decided to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. And to honor his years at the Answer Company, he took this flag up to the top of Mount Kilimanjaro. And I have a picture of this flag at the top. And for me, it just epitomizes, his just perseverance. Bill was an incredible guy who, struggled every day, but never complained. And on those days where I may be feeling like I can complain a little bit, I just think about him and how, I don't have anything to complain about. And so it was a big inspiration for me. And the flag is a reminder of that inspiration.
Well, thank you for sharing that. That is tremendous and meaningful. At some point, you gotta introduce me, man, because I love inspiring people like that. But it's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. So your journey continues to celebrate not necessarily the underdog, but people who are facing challenges, but find ways to rise and overcome and climb the mountains and conquer them that are right in front of them. Can I assume that your journey in business might reflect that as well? That there might have been one or two challenges in your journey to establishing what Answer Company is today. So let's go back to, let's say, early days. And you're saying, hey, I might need to step out and do this on my own. Can you describe those days for us, please?
Absolutely. It's 30 years ago. So, but my memory's still fresh. And I often describe myself as kind of the accidental entrepreneur. And I feel like my journey is similar to a lot of people who find themselves in that role. In my case, I was in a job that I didn't necessarily enjoy, didn't feel appreciated, and had made the decision to leave. And I was at a juncture in my life. Do I go out on my own, or do I move to that next job? And I took that leap of faith and said, I'm just gonna try this. Try to run a business on my own, see what I can do. And
so we always hear two different things. One is people who have always known that they're going to run their own business. So you know what they do? They work towards that, and they are the serial entrepreneur, and that's always been in their DNA. There's the other, could have been, where it wasn't necessarily what you started off doing when you were graduating with your MBA and doing this and doing that from an educational perspective. You just kind of, as you described, the accidental entrepreneur. Somebody might be listening right now that says, hey, I'm not satisfied either with my job. I'm going to start my own business. What would you say to that person who's like, the only reason why they want to start is because they're not happy? Because I think there has to be more than happiness as far as why you start a business.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's the drive. There's that desire to be the controller of your own destiny. And even as an employee, I often found myself, commission basis type of situation where I was still, somewhat wholly responsible for my success. Yeah. And the idea of starting your own business is just an extension of that. And And the irony is often I think people think of starting your own business as being something that's less secure. And yet very much my experience was I actually had more security in being an entrepreneur and in control of my own destiny because it was all it was on me. I wasn't dependent on somebody else for my success.
Yeah,
And
so, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening today and you're on that verge and tipping point of saying, "Hey, I might want to test the waters. Do I dip my toe? Do I jump off the cliff and build my wings on the way down? Like, how do I handle this scenario?" Bill, are both approaches valid? Again, one would be, let me just test the waters here, dip my toe, uh, versus jumping off a cliff and building your wings on the way down. How would you describe and contrast those two? Is one better than the other?
I think that's a personal, it's a personal choice, and it's also where
Okay.
you're at in your life stage. Clearly, the person who's got kids and a family who are dependent on them might not be in a position to jump off the cliff and build their wings on the way down, right? Dipping their toe and seeing gradual success may be the more appropriate solution there. For me, I was early in my career. I had, I would let a frugal existence and I had limited demands. So I had the luxury of jumping off the cliff and seeing if I could fly. And so, and then obviously it worked out okay for me. That's 30 years ago.
So that's fantastic. If you're a young adult, stay at home. It's okay, right? You're right, though. It's difficult to launch a business if you want a lifestyle that is very demanding on your resources. In those early days, the biggest drain on your resources or the biggest investment and pull on your resources would be your business. And if there's competing lifestyle or obligations, that makes it difficult and it complicates your decision. So good on you for doing it in a season where you were able to. Now, in that season, then let's stay on that journey. You've mentioned you got kids. Okay. You eventually got married, of course.
For sure.
How did you grow the empire and your family at the same time? Because that's another question we get posed a lot at the magazine, is just balance my, family with my business, my kids, but my business is my baby. And how did you, to you, what does the concept of balance mean?
Well, I mean, back then, this concept of work-life balance, it was clearly way more work and way less life.
Okay.
And I had the support of family, of friends to make those trade-offs. And it worked out well as a result. Clearly, I think as time has progressed, the expectations of that work-life balance, both in terms of my personal life, but also just people around, it's the pendulum has swung a little bit. And so, the 80-hour weeks that I worked, back when I was 30 years old, not so much today, obviously,
Okay.
right?
Okay. Fair enough. Clearly you draw inspiration from various sources that are meaningful to you. Obviously the flag right behind you. You speak about your son as not being a burden, but you always speak about him as a source of inspiration. If you're comfortable, of sharing about, that journey as well.
Absolutely. For me, that was a pivotal moment in my life when my son was born. He was born with Down syndrome. A few years later in life, also diagnosed with autism. And so obviously with that has come some challenges. But at the same time, it's also exposed me to a communities, Down syndrome community, the autism communities, these great communities of people who are, there to do the best for their kids, for their loved ones. And it really was, for us, it was a genesis of what we now refer to at the Answer Company as our corporate social responsibility program, where we really formalize our giving back. And, I'm really proud of the results that we've been able to achieve. I'm also proud that, we've been recognized, like Great Places to Work recognized us last year as the best workplace for giving back in our community. And so
Wow. Congratulations.
thank you. Don't do it for that. but it's nice to be recognized that what we're doing is having an impact and it's the right stuff.
So what I'm also hearing is the culture of a business tends to flow from the persona of the leader.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I would say in my case, I feel like that is also a little bit was accidental. Obviously, the birth of my son, him having Down syndrome, that was clearly not planned. But then it takes on a very intentional element where it doesn't happen by itself. It needs to be care and fed, and it needs to be very thoughtful, and you have to have specific programs around that. And I can tell you, both as we're looking at hiring new people, but also as we survey our existing employees, that giving back and that involvement in community is always top of mind for everybody in terms of why they want to be part of the Answer company.
Okay, well, I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to do it. You can hate me afterwards, but let's just see if you can put your money where your mouth is. Are you ready?
I hope so.
Okay. Could you clearly articulate your company's purpose statement?
So our purpose statement is we propel companies forward.
Okay.
And let me give you a little bit of backstory there. A number of years ago, I was at a conference and one of the speakers had written a book, just Selling with Noble Purpose. And in this book, she talks about how best-in-class organizations always kind of had this secret sauce to their business. And so I listened very intently on that and thought, I think we know what our purpose is, but we haven't articulated it well. So we actually brought her in on a consulting engagement, and she worked with me and my leadership team to really kind of distill what it is that we do and boil it down into, those very simple words. But behind those very simple words, there's a lot of daily activity around how do we manifest that purpose statement as we're talking to prospective customers, as we're talking to our existing customers, and ultimately really making sure that we are helping business and we are really fully aligned with how can we help those businesses propel forward. And for some businesses, propel forward is work less. For some, it's make more money. For some, it's make more.
Gotcha.
Every business will have different definitions of that. So our goal is to understand what that is. Okay. And then align our technology and what we're doing to help them implement technology to achieve those objectives.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're in conversation with Shawn, and I'm going to get it right this time, Ostheimer.
There you go.
We're in conversation with Shawn Ostheimer, founder and president of the Answer company. So far, we've been speaking about the man, the myth, the legend, the founder, the president. And it's always great to hear stories of people who have are living out their entrepreneurial dream, right? At some point, whenever that dream started within you to percolate, to say, hey, I can step out. What we don't know so far is, what does the Answer company do? And what need does it serve in the marketplace? Now, you talked about culture. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't heard, if you want to work with a good company who actually cares about their clients and what your needs are, not what they need to sell, but how you need to benefit, I mean, already you're here and this is probably the right fit for you. But what is it that you do at the Answer company?
So we fundamentally provide business application software for accounting, ERP, HCM, or human capital management, kind of that full suite of business solutions that are really aimed at that small to medium enterprise organization. So we're working with a lot of small businesses. We understand, the needs of small business, the need to be nimble, to use resources in a very thoughtful way. And we're bringing these technology solutions. We primarily represent two products that are well recognized in market, a product called Sage and a vendor called Acumatica. So we really go to market with those two primary solutions and then have conversations with customers around how can we help them and how can we really bring that technology as part of that digital transformation that many organizations are embarking upon to get those benefits.
The last stat that I've seen suggests, this was put out by, I think, the Gardner Group, I believe. The the last stat, it's something like companies use less than 15% of the capacity and capability of the software that they've invested in.
I- all you have to do is be an Excel user to see that every day. Like, right? I mean, we probably use 5% of Excel. And the reality is, I think that's true of many of the systems that we use in business. And the reality is those demands have become a lot higher in terms of what organizations need and what they expect.
Okay.
And the need to then align and have the best solutions to do that becomes even more critical.
Okay, so you meant accounting software, human capital. Okay, great. ERP. Let's go there for a minute. Please break down for our audience ERP.
Well, so it stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. And it's kind of weird how that's unfolded because it's a lot more than that. But there's this whole category now of solution where it's accounting, it's distribution software, it's manufacturing software, all falls under this umbrella now of ERP software. And it's really the idea that you can have a single solution that can run all elements of your business.
And I think that's really important to carry the load through resource and tools, not on your own shoulders. At some point, as a business owner, you're thinking scale, I want to grow, or you need to grow, or you can't grow until you change the fundamental operating system of your business and how you operate. If you want to grow, you got to change. It's that simple. And
Absolutely.
How do those conversations go? Because I assure you, there's probably somebody listening to this podcast right now who's like, I don't know. I know I need to grow, but I don't know the best way, and I don't really trust how, because I've grown this baby from scratch. Like, I'm not dropping it off at the daycare. You better have nanny cam so I can watch what my child is doing the entire time, right? But now it's my business. How do some of those conversations go with business owners where they're realizing for the first time that the way they do business isn't conducive for the trajectory that they see in the potential in their business?
So a lot of times it just really comes down to looking at where's the pain. So every organization, as they're wanting to grow and scale, increasingly that those systems that are supporting that growth, they show cracks around the edges. And the more of those cracks, they get reflected then in external manual systems, they get reflected in Excel spreadsheets and all this stuff that's happening outside of the core system to kind of compensate for that overall inefficiency or deficiencies that exist in the core system. So our conversations are really more about helping that business owner, first of all, identify those and understand what they are and what impact they're having on the business, and then showing the future, showing how with additional investments in technology, those things can go away, and we can then set a framework to continue to grow the business without necessarily adding more people to do those manual tasks. So the return,
and that's fantastic, because the other side of pain is always associated with the past. And I love what you just said, because if you are simply investing in any infrastructure change from an ERP perspective, generally, most people are doing it to fix the pain of the past. The reason why they won't expand their percentage of usage to maximize their software is because they're not looking at the potential of what the future holds through their new ERP. So thank you for bringing that up. What are some of the capabilities and capacities that you're seeing that, obviously, as an integrator, implementation team, project management, that you're seeing that is helping companies realize that, oh, wait a second, I could do that? Like, what are some of those light bulb aha moments that you're seeing with the people that you work with when they didn't know that you could do X, Y, Z? What are some of those things?
well, so there's certainly some big trends. There's big trends around AP automation. So really got whole streamlining of that procure to pay process so that we're doing that with fewer people, paying our vendors more quickly. And you see the same kind of benefits coming on the collections side of the business as well. We're continuing to see more advancements in AI. And from an AI perspective in our accounting software, it's being smart, looking for outliers in terms of certain transactions, certain things that an owner might want to be aware of. And ultimately, it's taking all that data and then representing it to ownership and to the people who need to make decisions in a way that can be, they can actually make decisions on the data in a thoughtful and in a timely fashion without effort.
And that's fantastic right there. Fundamental business 101 is better information equals better decisions because you're more informed, right? And you're more prepared. I think what I'm also hearing is it's not only about having better information, but how do you sift through the amount of information that we have access to now to make a reasonable decision? Because that paralysis by analysis thing, that's pretty real. There are a lot of leaders who are like, because if I go left, it's the right decision. If I go right, it's also the right decision. When somebody's trying to split right down the middle, again, putting you on the spot, what helps you help your clients land when, you know what, it's a tough decision. And some decisions are tough with the information that we're getting. What are some of those tiebreakers, so those elements you're saying, hey, this will help you guide your decision?
Yeah, so really for me, I think that just comes from our history. I mean, we've been doing this now for 30 years. Worked with, today we have around 2,500 customers. Me and my team have done this thousands of times. So it's not normal or not usual for us to see something for the first time. No. So we can draw on that experience, right? And we're not necessarily tying it back to a specific company, but we certainly can tie it back to specific industries and provide some guidance with that industry experience to say, here's what we would typically see for your type of business, and provide the guidance in terms of the type of information that is going to be most relevant. Every organization is going to have what I call the secret sauce. And the secret sauce is going to be that piece that's going to be unique around how they run their business. And there's not necessarily going to be an existing path for that. But the 80-90% rule applies. And so that's really where we can leverage that ongoing experience in those industries to bring those best practices to the client and really guide through that process. So,
ladies and gentlemen, we're in conversation with Shawn Ostheimer of the Answer Company, who one day himself will take that flag back to Mount Kilimanjaro and plant it there himself. Yeah, I just threw that challenge out to you, and everyone.
No, that's never going to happen. I heard about that experience, and I'm happy to hear about that experience from the sidelines.
So it's interesting sometimes for business owners. Transitioning their business can be akin to climbing Mount Kilimanjaro in the dark where no one sees or seems to care, right? And you're on this journey. You're like, how do I get to the mountaintop of my industry? One of the great things that you do in Mount Kilimanjaro, so I got a little bit of knowledge about that whole journey, is you definitely have a guide or a Sherpa with you to get there. Is it fair then to also categorize and classify the Answer Company as that guide and Sherpa to help you navigate the conditions, the windstorms, the clear skies, the best timing? Is it fair to categorize you guys in that light?
Absolutely, and that's what we achieve. And I hope to achieve. We have clients where we implemented systems back in the 90s. They're not on the same systems. Because the systems have evolved, we've moved to the cloud, and those clients have moved with us. But the benefit that they've got from that continuity of us understanding their business and helping them to navigate, the shift to the cloud, using systems better, often growing at substantive, rates, and having, more complexity in the business, we've been able to help them on that journey and really support them as, I say, as their IT department, although it's more than just IT, it's really business advisory services.
And what are some of the signs? Like, all right, I've been running my business. What should I be aware of that's cracking or fraying at the seams that begins to say, I need to probably at least start having conversations with an organization like the Answer Company to help me? What am I looking for? Because I just want to do a quick little check, right? If I were to look under the hood of the business, What am I smelling? What am I seeing that says I need to have a conversation with a business mechanic here?
Well, so there's two catalysts, I think, and I'll talk about the first catalyst is really being just the business need and that functionality. So where the business owner is hearing that they can't do certain things, they can't do certain types of pricing or certain initiatives or certain promos to drive revenue without a whole lot of effort and work because they don't have the systems to support those initiatives that are maybe different business practices than they've had in the past. The other catalyst is unfortunately cybersecurity and ransomware, and we continue to see challenges where clients get hit, because they have older on-premise solutions that it is possible to protect and lock down, but it's really hard and it takes a lot of initiative. So moving up to the cloud does provide some comfort and security on that front as well. And so it's really the two things.
That is fantastic. Personal experience. Let me confess my sins and shame. I did not put any. I'm going back, 6-7 years ago, before people even knew what ransomware was. Got a note because I couldn't open my computer, and there it was that said, "Hey, if you want your pictures back, you will pay $600. $400 US to such and such account." My question wasn't about how much money I have to pay. My question was, how much do I love my wife, because it was all of her pictures that they targeted pictures of my little baby children. And they literally hit that spot right there, right? It was on my work laptop, but my wife was I mixed those worlds. I did. Yeah. Like I'm gonna, like I said, this is like confession time. It's not about you. It's about my confession time right now. I know the pain of what it means. Ultimately, together we decided, even if we pay them, there's no guarantee that they're going to release these files.
Yeah,
we lost years of memories that were stored on a laptop that maybe they shouldn't have. Again, my mistake. There's a personal price as well as a business price that's paid when attacks like that happen.
Well, and imagine if you're a business owner and you come in and you have 100 employees and you find out that the systems are shut down across the country.
Wow.
Those are life-changing situations. And so there's, it's something that organizations clearly need to be aware of, and for us, as we're having those conversations, it's one of those catalysts for that digital transformation, for moving to the cloud. Not that the cloud is 100% secure; it still needs attention, but typically it provides with a higher degree of security than we're able to achieve with the on-premise. So
we no longer live in a world where cybersecurity is a luxury, nice to have. It's no longer like you buy a laptop, lock it up like day one. We don't live in that world where it was only for people who can really afford it. It's a different world, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and it'd be like playing roulette if you're not taking action. The odds are maybe you don't get hit, but 11 hits twice every once in a while, and
right. The phrase that you just said really resonates. When a staff member goes to an owner and says, "We can't do it," that's a bit scary, because the reality is your customers can. Sorry, your competitors can. That's a huge problem. If you're limited not by the greatness and the grandeur of your product or service, you're limited in a system that's meant to support and elevate you to sell more, and that's what's holding you back. Those are scary conversations, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And we need to make sure that we're being proactive with our customers and preempting that moment. And so it's a big part of what we're doing these days with our existing customers.
We got 2 more questions for you, Shawn. And Thank you for making the time and taking the time to be with us here today and just sharing your thoughts and just being vulnerable with your personal life and sharing that. And so I know there's a bunch of people that are probably watching right now that really appreciate and are watching later on, because obviously this is being recorded and will be shared across our platforms at another time. So thank you. What would you say to an entrepreneur, even a business leader within their organization, to say, how do you learn the best? Now, you're going to insert, you learn from your mistakes. Okay. But some people don't learn from their mistakes.
Well, so I've always believed that having some degree of external coaches is important. We've had external sales coaches. We have an external business coach, somebody who we can pull in to help advise and to guide us, because we don't always know. We don't know what we don't know. I myself, I've only ever done this once, and I've been doing it once for 30 years. So it's not like I have a whole bunch of other experiences that I can draw on. So I've tried to bring in other people who have that experience, and I try to draw on their experience because I lack it on myself. I can observe what my clients have been doing and I can learn from that. But in terms of my own learnings, I'm limited by having, built the answer company for the last 30 years.
And that's why we're so excited about forums and conversations like this. So everyone, and the word you're using there is leverage, right? How do we leverage knowledge and experiences and resources and software to serve the mission that we're all on? Shawn, final words, thoughts. What's something that perhaps I didn't ask yet, but you felt and you feel is important to share?
So my mantra has always been around perseverance. This being an entrepreneur isn't easy, and that perseverance, I think, has been my secret sauce to success. I like to describe myself as the overnight success story that took 30 years.
Hold on. Processing. Sorry. Overnight, 30. Okay, I'm with you. I'm with you now. Okay.
Right? People on the outside might look at that and say, wow, what a great company, and you've got 150 employees, and that what they don't see is all of the effort and all of the work that went behind getting there in a long period of time. It's very gradual. For us, at least, it was very gradual. That's not always the case. Some organizations see success a lot more quickly. But I've actually appreciated that gradual, because it's meant we could continue to kind of build culture and build the foundations to support our business. I'd like to talk a little bit about, the pandemic. When the pandemic hit, we didn't, lay off a single person. Because we'd had some of those foundations already in place. We were comfortable that we could kind of ride the storm. And of course, the government's assistance helped for some of that. But we also had the confidence that we were going to get through that, because we got through other crises in the past as well. So that comes from that longevity of having been there, done that.
Ladies and gentlemen, join me in thanking Shawn for investing in your life in a worthwhile way, and thank you for investing in our audience with your experience, your thoughts, and how you continue to shape and form the marketplace, allowing them to leverage and maximize their investment in the necessary tools and resources that we really all need to be a part of. I got a different moniker for you. You said, overnight success took you 30 years or something like that. You said a lot more eloquent than I did, but I love what you said earlier. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the accidental entrepreneur. I love that phrase when you used it earlier. I might be calling you that all the time now, because I think we're hanging out on June 23rd as well, potentially at the expo, and we'll see you there. Folks, if you see Shawn there, please come up, greet him. He's a nicer person in person than he is on a Zoom call. So yes, Shawn, thank you so much for joining us today and investing in our audience in a worthwhile way.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Shawn. And ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned, the Small Business Expo 2023, Leveraging Technology for Small Business Growth, is taking place June 23rd at the Metro Toronto Convention Center. You can visit smeexpo.ca for more information. Again, that's smeinfo.ca. Established in 2008, the Gavreau Accounting and Tax Law Advisory is one of the fastest growing professional services firms in all of North America. He has sponsored a series called the Entrepreneurial Resilience Series. Folks, if you want to see and hear stories about entrepreneurs who are breaking barriers and making it through in tough, difficult times, they're getting a little easier as we're all experiencing. But if you want to hear a little bit more resilience, that's a buzzword in our office. We talk about resilience all the time. You heard it in Shawn's story as well. Please visit smallbusinesstalks.ca/entrepreneurial resilience. Now that's a long phrase. Visit canadiansme.ca and you'll find a link there. Once again, we want to thank our sponsors for making this event possible. RBC, our exclusive banking partner. UPS, our exclusive shipping partner, and our exclusive accounting software partner, Xero. This event, of course, wouldn't be made possible without their generosity and continued support of everything we do. And thank you for joining us today. My name is Shiraz Sadiq, your host for Canada Business Talks.